Well, it is time for the ladies in the living room. You've got your friend Laura here.
Hello, Kristen here.
And we are ready to discuss the Traitors. Episode 4 and 5. This keeps us up to date. And then next week we can just start on the one episode, right?
Yes.
This Traitors. This is episode 4 so far is the best one.
Agreed.
I think it's been fantastic.
Agreed.
So we pick it up, right? We pick it up with Gabby hearing Danielle's voice coming out of the bookcase.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if that was, like I said in the last podcast, I don't know if that was a little bit of editing where she kind of like goes back in and like then you see them come out. I don't think it was that close, but
like I thought something was going to come of it and nothing came of it.
And then of course the Traitors pop out. No one's there, right? But
Yeah.
I love that our boy Dylan Efron, who I'm just falling in love with.
Are you?
Do
you think he has like golden retriever energy? Like,
you know what I like about
what do you
him?
think about
I
him?
like that he's cute, That's first that gets me to look, right? But then I'm seeing more of Dylan. I'm just seeing that Dylan is smart.
Yeah, he is.
He's
Good player.
He's not a jerk.
No.
You know, he's just like, he's no Sandoval. Like, he's actually just a smart, intuitive guy.
Yes.
Who's like a sweet guy, I think. And I don't know. I'm just into him.
I'm into him too. I think he is going to make it toward the end.
He definitely is.
Because he's just so good.
But
And he is intuitive.
I'm going to tell you, though, what's going to be his downfall. I was going to bring this up a little bit later, but his downfall is going to be that he's a little bit of a fanboy for Bostonrob.
Totally. He's too chummy with him.
And that is going to hurt him because he's going to get screwed. But he doesn't even right now think that Rob, or he hasn't voiced it yet, that he if Rob is a traitor. And
I don't think he thinks it.
All right, let's see. At least not at this point in the episode, right? So they pop into the bookcase room. He knows it's late. He knows something's up. He's like, something moved. And that's really, to even think that something moved, they did write something down and they did move something. So kind of unbelievable, honestly. And so they had to shortlist 3 people for murder. So Alan's like, players. Alan rings the bell to come outside the castle. I mean, isn't it awesome with the fire and the lighting and the night backdrop of the castle?
Yeah.
I just can't get enough of this.
Yeah, I
Maybe
know.
it's because I'm a Halloween lover. It has sort of a
It
Harry
does have that
Potter-ish
yes
vibe. I always think it should be on in the fall, but
yeah,
that's
true. I know. And just Alan Cumming just brings it all together so perfectly.
And of course, I have to stop and rewind because I love him so much.
Oh, so do I.
Hear my bell, heed it well. Summons one of you not to heaven, but to hell. Like, Alan. So anyway, he tells them that 3 players have been shortlisted for murder.
Yeah.
In plain sight.
Yeah.
And then, of course, what's there?
Yeah.
The coffins.
The coffin.
The coffins are there. So 3 people that were shortlisted.
Jeremy, Nikki, and Ciara. Now, Jeremy, I know why they chose him. I'm not sure why they chose Nikki and Ciara. I don't know. But
I don't think they know. I think it's just like,
it's like, let's just throw 2 faithfuls in there that no one's even talking about. And that will start to get them on the list of suspects.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Or, I don't know. People were maybe floating Nikki's name, and who knows?
Yeah,
a lot of people have been kind of thinking in Nikki.
Yeah, no one was really saying anything about Ciara that I recall up until this point. But maybe they just wanted her in there. I don't know how much people in the house really like Ciara. I don't think she's well liked. So I don't know. Maybe they're like, we just want to.
I mean,
yeah, no.
Again, like we said last week, if she looked like your local cashier at your deli, who's barely getting a shower in the morning, would she be anywhere on television? Because it's not for her sparkling personality.
I don't think she's got one.
She does not.
Yeah,
as we know.
Like a
So they get in the coffins and they plead for their lives.
Yes.
Traitors in the game.
Yeah.
And Ciara curses. She's like, I will fucking hunt you. It's like,
I know.
I feel like I'm talking to Paige. Like, it's like,
yeah, I know. I
think
think Paige would do the same thing.
Paige isn't here to back you up. Like, it's not cute without your little, like, sidekick. Like,
that's a good point. You know, she doesn't have her girls backing her up. She's not part of that Bambi crew.
Exactly.
So it's like she's kind of on an island by herself here.
She's so far from a Bambi.
Yeah. Yeah, no.
So Alan dismisses all the faithfuls to bed. And the traitor kills.
Yes.
Jeremy. They nail him in the coffin. That would have been.
Danielle led that because he suspected Danielle. That's why.
And he's like, I'm coming for her. If I'm not murdered, I'm coming for her.
Yeah. Jeremy was a really smart player too. So it was
well,
too
he's
bad
a
that he got.
guy. He's a survivor. Now, I love that Boston Rob said it. And he was absolutely right. Now the other two, Nikki and Sierra, are gonna have the sus on them.
Yeah, exactly.
And we get 3 kills for the price of one.
I loved when he said that. Yep.
So now we're in the breakfast room. We find out that Jeremy's dead. And Nikki and Jeremy, they all think that the traitors have put themselves in the coffin to take the heat off of them. So that's the first time we hear that rumor sort of
swirling around about Nick. And it really put the spotlight on Nikki. Like more than anybody.
Yeah,
then people were buzzing more about Nikki.
I mean, then they knew it. Like, now everybody's gonna think I'm a traitor because I've been sitting in there. And
talk about a likable player. She is a likable player.
Who, Gabby?
Nikki.
Oh, Nikki. Oh, yeah.
I liked her from the start of the show.
Just like
so I'm like, oh, she's like good on the show.
Nice.
She's strong, but she's kind. She's tough, but she's smart.
Yeah.
She's got all the things.
She does.
I really like her.
So this is the first time I hear Gabby tells a few of them that she heard Danielle's voice.
Yeah.
In the bookcase.
Yes.
But everybody just kind of like blows it off. Like, no, they don't think it's her.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It didn't go anywhere. And I thought that was going to have a little more traction.
Well, why it didn't go anywhere was when she brings it up again and they say that she was, and Bob was like, well, I was in there, but they said something went down in there. So we were kind of all in there. We kind of all went in and out of there.
And Dylan went in there.
And that's how it got dismissed.
Yeah, exactly.
Because then it was just like
so what?
Like, oh, that's annoying because she thought it.
Yeah.
And she was right. Too bad. That's what I mean about like us girls. You know what I mean? Like sometimes, it's just, don't rock the boat too much. You know what I mean? Like,
no, because she could have been onto something really good and it just fell flat.
Right.
And Dylan, it got a little dismissed.
And it totally did. I was just like, oh, okay.
Okay, well,
right.
Yeah.
And then so Carolyn, they're interviewing Carolyn, who I just love so much.
I like her too.
No, she feels no one listens to her as a traitor.
Such a kook.
She's so kooky. I love it.
She is.
And then Robin blurts out at the breakfast room, again, who out of all of you, who thinks the traitors are in the coffin? And they all say yes. So now we know where it's going.
Yes.
It's going to be all eyes on Nikki and Sierra.
Yes.
Oh, and here's the thing. See, what we just said, which was why did it get blown out of proportion about Danielle being in the bookcase? And she's like, well, they were all in there, and that's why.
Yeah, right. So it kind of, again, fell flat, but we get to the next mission.
Yes, we get to the
with they're carrying the stones up the hill.
Wait, we just need to talk about Alan's green beret and his outfit, the kilt. Did he have moss on the front of that outfit? Like, there was all these like green flowers on it.
I don't know. He's so spectacular every time he makes an appearance. I'm just getting used to it now.
I love it when he was like, keep those expensively chiseled chins up.
Yeah.
We're going to the next mission. I just love the way he talks.
Oh, he's the best.
Oh, and just another thing I wanted to throw in before we get to the mission is that dingbat, dum-dum, king of the idiots, Sandoval, walks out to the group and he's like, you know what I think? I'll tell you what I think. He was like, I think Sierra got recruited last night. That's what I think. And by the way, he thinks he's so right on, and he couldn't be more wrong.
Oh God,
dumb.
He looks like such a goofball.
Dumb.
Nobody takes this guy seriously.
Please.
Like if he comes up with an idea or a plan or a thought, I think everyone's just looking at him going, yeah, okay.
And Wes is still floating the theory that he thinks it's Nikki. He's like, she made a living about being extra, now she's not, and blah, 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 blah. So
he's playing it like too coy, maybe.
Boston Rob is trying to push that traitor in the coffin theory.
Yes.
Because, now Rob is just being Rob. He's just making shit up.
Yeah,
you know
right.
What I mean? Like
right.
when he said to Nikki, That was on the way back from the mission. He
Yeah.
said to Nikki, something like, Bob the drag queen was floating your name.
Yeah.
And
And
he
she was
was?
like, what? Yeah.
And that was a pivotal moment, but we'll
Yeah,
get
it
back
was.
to that. We'll get back to that. So the mission is bringing these heads up the hill.
Yep.
And then of course, whoever gets the 10 heads there's 18 of them, 10 heads.
They've got
They're gonna get
immunity or shield.
They're getting shields.
Yeah.
And of course, Sandoval's sorry little twink
course he
butt
does.
is halfway up, is the first one up the hill. And then he took the head from like Ivar, I think, and then put his own thing on it. Remember
Yeah.
he like took somebody, I don't know exactly what he did, but he just pulled a ridiculous maneuver.
Well, I think the women were also getting upset that the guys were a little faster, maybe a little stronger, right? And they were getting their stuff up first. And the women are like, hey, what about us? So
Well, the last one to go on, the last head to go on was Dolores.
Yeah.
But Sierra wanted it really bad because she's like, I'm going to be murdered because.
See, this brings me to Sierra again. I don't think she's got a lot of friends.
And she doesn't
like
any
Dolores
personality.
has friends. Like people like Dolores, they're rooting for her.
Right.
Who's like, I'm rooting for Sierra. She doesn't really have it. I don't know, unless she does and I'm not seeing.
No one's
you
rooting.
You gotta make friends in this game.
And everybody doesn't have, they're only there.
And you gotta have allies.
Right. And they're only there for like 2 weeks. Like nobody has time to bust through your hard exterior, Sierra.
Exactly. So if you're just standing there, I know, looking gorgeous, but you're just like giving everyone a side eye. You're you're not gonna get a lot of.
That's what she's got to offer.
Yeah.
So Sierra wanted it. You could tell she was really bad. $20,000 were added to the prize pot.
Yeah.
And I did feel bad, just a little human moment. I did feel bad for Bob H.
So did I.
Because he really
struggled there.
Yeah, he really struggled for a guy who was like super fit and super in shape.
Yeah. Fitness is or was his livelihood. So to see that, and it was such a vulnerable moment for him and emotional. And I really like him, Bob H.
So here's the moment though where Bob the drag queen blows it for himself.
Yes.
He says after the mission's over, we have to keep our eye on those 3 new guys because we think one of them is a traitor.
Why do you think he said that? Like, what was his strategy? Or did he just not think and speak?
He had honestly, in that moment, I don't think he was really thinking. He was just saying, like, we should have gotten, keep our eye on them, or we should have gotten one of them on the heads on there.
Yeah.
I don't really know. I don't think he really was cognizant because he was not nervous because when we get to the round table, he was shocked.
Blindsided.
Like, so Wes then on the way down the hill, Rob's talking to Wes and he was like, he just threw us under the bus, man.
Yeah.
He just threw all 3 of us under the bus.
Yeah. This is why I don't mind Bob TDQ, but I don't think he was a good traitor.
No, he was too overt. There was just too much.
Yeah.
And he's too much.
You do have to have a strategy in your head.
His mouth goes faster than his brain.
Yeah, and that doesn't make for a good traitor.
I'm sure he walked out there and go, why did Rob just do that to me? Other than wanting to, make himself the big dog. Here's the big cat. We all have to, but there was actually a reason why he did it.
Yeah.
So he says, we're cutting off the head of the dragon tonight. It's Bob the drag. Bob. I love he says Bob.
Yeah.
Bob the drag queen.
But Boston Rob feels he has sus on him now that he did not need.
And he basically just said, look, I put so much sus on him. We want to blindside Bob and give the faithful some blood at the same time.
And he knows that everyone will listen to him because they know that he's a great player. He's a master player.
He walked around the house basically like.
Oh, he got it. Yeah.
He was just getting it done. He was like, can I
power
talk
of
to
influence.
You and you?
Yeah.
Can I talk to, you know what I mean? He pulls Dylan aside, tells him, he's like,
and Dylan was on to him already. Wasn't he? Wasn't Dylan on to Bob TDQ?
Yes.
So that just like fed into Dylan going,
Oh, yeah. Dylan was like, oh my God, I can't believe.
Yeah.
This is where he fangirls over Rob a little bit. He's like, I used to, God, I grew up watching Rob on TV and now we're like in this alliance. Like, oh my God, I can't, that's going to hurt him.
What I also thought that Boston Rob did that was smart is that he did go to everybody and then he left Carolyn and Danielle to the end.
Yes.
But it didn't look suspicious
Well, he
because
was like, "Can I
like
talk
it
to
wasn't
you and you?"
Chriselle was present when Danielle and Carolyn were in the room with her, and he goes, "You two, let me talk to you," because he had already talked to Chriselle. So it's not like Chriselle was be like, "Why is he just taking those two girls?" So he
Right.
kind of left his final talk with them to the end. So that was really smart.
Right. And then when he does, I thought it was fascinating on Rob's part that he went directly in front of everyone, said, "Can I talk to you and you, Danielle and Carolyn?"
Yeah,
they're
exactly.
3 traitors. Normally a traitor wouldn't do that.
People didn't blink. They were
Right.
like, "Oh yeah, well
And
he already talked to me, so now he's going to talk to them." Yeah, it was perfect.
And Danielle's pissed because she wants to banish Nikki.
Yeah.
She wants to protect
Mm-hmm.
the drag queen.
Carolyn says she doesn't feel good about it.
Oh, poor Carolyn.
Yeah.
Poor
So,
Carolyn. So now
there was an odd one out. It was Wes still thinks it's Nikki, and Derek still thinks it's Ciara. So they were like buying into the Bob TDQ part, but
well, all right, let's keep
anyway.
going.
Okay.
So basically, there's $55,000 in the prize pot now.
Right.
And they're at the round table,
Right.
I should say. Players, the floor is yours.
Mm-hmm.
So Wes goes after Nikki. She's like, he's been here for 2 days. Like, Nikki was just like, she doesn't waste a lot of words. She's just like, he's been here for 2 days. Look at him. I'm done. Like, it's done. And then Derek says it's Ciara because she cursed, and that means because he's a cop. And when people curse in confessions, that means they're trying to like show emotion, or they're really trying to believe what they're saying.
No, I think she just curses. That's her regular lingo. But
and then the big moment of the episode. Bostonrob goes after Bob, the drag queen.
Yep.
It was like, if you're looking at who's been quarterbacking the whole show and has the love and admiration of a lot of people. And he looks, I love the camera angle.
Oh, the way he just looks at
he turned his
Bob
head,
TDQ, who's like, what?
He turned his head, and then Bob's reaction was classic, like, what? Like, what? What? How could you be looking at me? And he was like,
that was classic.
Oh no. And then he was like, Bob, the drag queen. And every time there's a decision, there's a deflection. Bob, the drag queen. And the camera angle. And then, of course, Dylan chimes right in.
Yep, there he goes.
Bob is just beside himself. And he's like, I'm going to say 9 words. I swear to God that I am a faithful.
Yep.
I don't know if that was 9 words. How did he figure out
it
9
was
words?
9. No, he must have thought about that in advance. It was 9. I counted.
I swear to God, I am faithful.
Oh, it was 8
or 9.
All right. Anyway,
8 or 9. I can't do
math.
He was
close.
I'm no good at math.
Well, Rob had a easier. I have 2 words. You're not.
You're not. Bob the TDQ, everything he said about me, you could turn around and say about him. Dylan said, you threw it back so hard. That makes you a traitor. It makes you a traitor. And Bostonrob has the balls to say, if he's not, get rid of me next week.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
That was actually a good thing.
Another smart thing to say.
Yeah, no, I would too. Like, you're putting it so all on the line, right? And then Danielle and Carolyn vote for Bob too, so they wouldn't look suspicious. But I have to say, Danielle was like, oh, I don't want to turn on Bob the drag queen, but you did.
Yeah.
You easily voted for Nikki.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Because some others voted for Nikki.
Right.
Wes voted for Nikki.
She just doesn't want the sus on her.
He doesn't want any sus on her. Oh, but I do want to go back to where Dylan says to Bob TDQ, I grew up with an actor and I think you're a good actor. And he's like, yeah, but your brother's not a good one.
And he's like, not a good one.
Not a good one.
And I love the
that was, I grew up with an actor. He goes, not a good one. I know. That was a little shade.
Shady Bob.
Shady Bob. I think his brother, Zach, is a very good actor, but that's aside.
But I like that Dolores at the end of it all, after the whole thing, she's like, and your brother's a really good actor. I was like, see, that's why everybody likes Dolores.
We love Dolores.
But I laughed even just Bob in the hot pink with the blue glasses. It's just the way that he came like, huh? When he came after him, like, what?
Oh, and I do like he goes, I will bury you under the sand.
Oh, yeah, that was great.
Oh, he was just pulling it all out.
Bob is banished.
Damn.
And I told you I was a faithful, and I swear to God But it was a lie because I don't believe in God because I'm a traitor.
Because I'm a traitor. In his confessional, Bob TDQ, he took it pretty decent. I thought he was going to be enraged, but he was like, fair gameplay.
Well, the player respects a player.
Okay, well, yeah.
You know what I mean? And
yes.
but you got to love Bob the TDQ. Committed to the absolute very end.
Yes.
I mean, right? Because they were all hanging on their seats, literally. Yeah. Sandoval's like, I threw my chair. And I was like, go Bob.
Who did Sandoval didn't vote for Bob TDQ. He had somebody else.
For Nikki.
I think he did.
I think, but he's so off.
He's just off.
But now what's so fabulous about this is Bob for a minute, not Bob, Boston Rob for a minute is now the big fat hero.
Yeah. Oh, right? Everyone was coming over to him.
You're the best, Rob.
Yeah.
That's why you're it.
Yeah.
The traitor is it, But then Wes says it all at the end. Who would know for 100% certain that a traitor was a traitor?
And that got
Ivar. Traitor.
Yeah.
Of course. Come on, Rob.
And that got Ivar's head wheels spinning.
Yeah,
whoa, wait a minute.
Ivar. He's come.
Ivar. No, I'm saying Ivar.
He comes out.
Yeah.
Let's call him Igor.
Igor. Wasn't that in Young Frankenstein? Wasn't that the character?
Igor. There's always an Igor. He could be an
Igor. He could have been Igor.
He could be an Igor. Igor's always like the little guy with the bald head who's like got one eye, lives in the basement. Ooh, go find Igor.
But I like Wes very much. He's another good player, I think.
Fergus's cousin.
But he's got to be really careful with this.
Yes.
Because as we're going to see, there's more coming with that.
So Danielle is now pissed. And she is going to avenge Bob, the drag queen. And then Carolyn's like, oh my God, all the power is in Rob's hands now.
Yes.
And Dylan and Rob form the alliance.
Yeah.
And the traitors are off to the turret. And she said Danielle says she's going to get Boston Rob or the Godfather.
The Godfather.
She's going to get him.
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, Danielle.
I don't think Danielle's going to achieve that.
Listen,
I
don't know what Danielle did. Wait, she was the Big Brother player, right?
Yeah, I think she was in Big Brother.
What she did on Big Brother, but she is not impressing me here.
Same.
Oh.
No.
Dumb.
I don't think she's smart enough to be a traitor.
Well, we're going to get to it. I'll reserve my thoughts until we're trying to get there in order. So if you guys haven't seen it or you're not watching it and just listening to us, we'll get there. But oh my, she really blows it in this episode. But yet she does not.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Let's open on the turret.
She's not a good strategist.
No.
At all.
She's too in the moment.
Yeah.
She's too in the moment sometimes.
She seems like very emotional too.
Great multitasker. You
no.
be a great multitasker.
No.
I'm just going to take a sip of my water.
Because now we're going to get into episode 5, The Murderous Power.
We open on the turret, and you can tell a little sheepish is Rob, Boston Rob, and he's like, oh my God, that was crazy. And
he changed the whole game because when has a traitor ever gone for a traitor?
They do, but only
did they do that in previous?
They have, but only when they have to save themselves.
So early on, though?
Not so early on.
Yeah.
And when they only really do it when it gets to a point like everyone's found them out.
Yeah.
And now they have to turn on them.
Yeah.
Eventually you have to, right?
Yeah, right. So, but you usually do wait till you get towards the end.
A little bit longer.
So what he did, I just feel like it changed the strategy of this game.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And of course it got Danielle's wheels spinning because now she's like, okay, now I'm going to get a traitor.
She's going to avenge Bob. But he's like, let me just make it very clear. Boston Rob says, unless you come for me, I will never come for you.
Right.
And I kind of agreed.
I kind of agree.
And he said basically, I kind of believed him when he said that.
Yeah.
Like if I was in that turret, I would have said, okay. And then he said, Bob publicly came for me today at the mission.
Yeah.
Bob signed his own death certificate according to Boston Rob. And then Danielle's like, just talk to us. Like, you could, just talk to us moving forward. And then she's like, I got to take him out like a mafia guy. She's got to be the silent assassin. So I don't know.
And she needs to think that she's on Rob's side. She needs Rob to think she's on his side.
Always.
Yeah.
If you go
don't want to cross that one.
If you go back to the movie Goodfellas, what is it? The wise guys, they'll never come with sirens like the police. They come as your friends. They do. That's how they get you. They come as your friend.
Keep your friends close and your enemies closer.
Right. So anyhow, so she said.
Oh, and then Danielle made a good point. Sorry to cut you off.
Go.
She said she thinks this was an ego thing, and I think she's right. Why Rob went for Bob?
A little bit.
Now I'm saying I think it worked out well, but I think Rob was just like, you made that comment about me, Bob TDQ. Now I'm getting you.
Right,
but
exactly.
I think Carolyn is very onto the whole.
Carolyn is so much smarter than anyone gives her credit for.
Yeah, and she's so jittery and she seems flighty, but it's perfect.
She knows it. I think she was the genius pick. And if
she was.
So let's go through it, because Dum Danielle she's another one who's making a crazy. She's getting like confidence. Rob's confidence is rubbing off on her in this episode.
Exactly. She thinks she's like Rob.
So who will they murder tonight? And then, of course, they're talking about Sam Ashgari in there. And, of course, there's the naked photo of Sam soaping up in the shower. I was like, this isn't The Bachelor. Even though I'm not mad. I mean, I'm not mad at seeing Sam shirtless. And Boston Rob says, what about Robin?
Yeah.
Robin. For poor housewives, really.
Oh, man. Are
really
they
just got slammed.
Yeah. I don't know why that started from the beginning, getting these housewives. But
they're the most vocal. They're the most out there. They're the biggest clique.
Yeah.
The Bravo people are a clique. The same thing happened in the first season. They were all together. It was Brandy Glanville and Reza.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was like they were kind of Kate Chastain, like the Bravo people, come together.
They do huddle together. You're right.
So Boston Rob now knows they're in the breakfast room, and he knows the sus is on him again.
Yeah.
Because he took out Bob, the
right.
TDQ.
Mm-hmm.
And Bob H is so funny, because when Carolyn comes in, Bob H makes the funniest comment. He's like, Carolyn always looks so disheveled when she comes in. He goes, hey, Carolyn, did you just run around the block? He was like, she's like, they don't take me serious. They don't think she's playing a game.
Yeah.
That's what she wants.
But with Carolyn too, the other thing that she's got in her corner, she's likable.
Yes.
They like her.
Yep. She's very likable.
If you're a traitor and they like you, you're good.
Yep.
So
she's very likable.
She's likable.
Everybody else likes her. They can joke with her.
They do. They feel comfortable with her.
She's approachable. She's approachable than her.
Kooky.
And even in this episode, when now Danielle, okay, so let's follow it in the way that it happened.
Yeah.
Danielle doesn't think Carolyn is the person she can work with, but she doesn't know. I mean, see, there's the difference. If I was playing this game, I would be like, well, it's me and Carolyn now, so let's go, Carolyn.
Of course.
You know what I mean? I would be like, let's go.
Yeah.
But Danielle's got her little wheels turning there.
Yeah, she's trying to figure out what.
And they all find out that Robin has been murdered.
Yeah.
Dang.
Robin, I think, did play it kind of smart. She was vocal. She was good on the show. So it was too bad that she
liked her. I don't.
She was likable.
You watched Potomac, right?
Yes.
So
loved her on Potomac.
See, I think if she would have had more FaceTime here, and more I think I would have come out a big Robin fan.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
I can tell that if I watch Potomac, I would like Robin.
Yeah, totally.
She just she's likable.
She is likable.
There wasn't enough of her to really get to know her. There's so many people on this show, so
there's still a lot right now. So we're still trying to get used to these players. So
our boy Alan shows up. And
did you think he looked like the Statue of Liberty?
I did. When he on the mission, that's exactly what I said. I was like, you walk in and there's the Statue of Liberty.
Oh, there
he was just missing the book.
Yeah, exactly. He just needed the book.
But
and the torch.
That was quite a situation. That was quite a situation. So anyway, he's in the breakfast room. He shows up.
Yeah.
But before we get to the mission, Ivar.
Yes.
This is an important part of the gameplay. Ivar talks about Wes's theory about how only a traitor would know another traitor. So this is where now all the sus is starting to go to Rob, and Rob is just doing damage control, like the pro that he is. And Ivar, but this is what's so fascinating, why people tell Rob stuff. Like Ivar,
yeah, I was surprised he told Rob.
down and tells Boston Rob that Wes thinks Boston Rob is a traitor.
Yeah, I was surprised.
And they think Wes could be a traitor, maybe, and is deflecting.
Yeah.
But I just thought, oh my God, Rob is like such a Svengali. Like, why would Ivar even tell him that theory?
I don't know.
Well, because he probably doesn't think it, or he's trying to suss it out himself.
Or he wants to see his reaction, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know that Ivar is thinking that far ahead. I think he's trying to just figure it out in his own head.
Yeah.
And he's talking to Rob about, hey, you know,
because
he
it
just
is like a
said
light bulb moment for him.
And then, of course, what does Boston Rob do?
Yeah,
he walks right over to Wes and says, hey, well, you know, I hear you saying my name or whatever. And he's like, no. It's like, I didn't do that. I was basically complimenting you, saying you had the balls to say, kick me out if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Because Wes is smart enough to know, as being a Survivor guy, right? He was a Survivor guy?
I think he was Survivor.
Or
was it Challenge?
One of these, the Challenge.
Yeah,
right?
It was the Challenge.
One of these shows that you do not want Rob to think that you made up that rumor that he's the one who's the traitor, because he's like, so he wanted to really get that point and drive it home to Rob, like, it wasn't me,
and he said, which is true, he goes, I never said your name. Because he didn't say Boston Rob. He just said, how would a traitor?
Right. Well, that's
100%. But that's basically saying it. But he's like, just like, I never said your name.
Sure.
He does seem nervous, though, when he's denying it. I picked that up. I'm like, funny. Oh, he's nervous.
It was funny that Boston Rob is now like going to Carolyn, like, it's me and you. It's me and you to the end. It's you and me to the end.
Yeah.
And Carolyn then runs to tell Danielle.
Yeah.
Like, is he saying that to you? And Danielle's like,
yeah.
Not really. And then she's
worried that he's going to come for them too.
So, right. And why wouldn't they think that, right?
Yeah, of course.
They would think that.
Yeah.
But she says she needs to work with a traitor to take down Boston Rob. And it's not Carolyn. So she's targeting now Carolyn.
See, that doesn't make sense to me.
She's throwing her under the bus. No, it does not make sense at all. I would say, let's do it, Carolyn. Carolyn is such a good traitor.
Yes, she is.
That's why she wants to get her out there, because nobody will suspect her. But the way that she just, anyway.
Clearly, like everybody, Danielle is in it to win it. She wants to make it to the end.
So
she's just like, pulling all the stops out, but this is not a good plan.
Well, we'll talk about what happens on the way back from the mission, because that's important. But let's talk about the mission. Basically, they're doing these riddles. They have to find a riddle. And if you get it right, you can put yourself up for a shield.
Yeah.
Right?
They were good. That was a good one. I love riddles, so
this was an important part, though. This was an important part of the episode. On the way there, Boston Rob's now making crap up.
Yeah,
he says to Nikki, which we mentioned just a few minutes
before.
Ago,
yes,
right, that he mentions Chriselle's in the car. He
mentions
to Nikki that Bob the TDQ floated your name to vote for you.
Yeah,
which is a complete lie. But now Rob is just confusing and throwing people into the mix, right?
Yeah.
So that comes up later.
Yeah. It does, and I guess Nikki's genuine reaction was, he did? Because she liked Boston Rob.
And apparently Chriselle,
picked up on that
moment, was like, kind of made her a little suspect, but
and they are BFFs, so that was like, whoa.
Yeah, it's worth mentioning. So anyway, the masked people are at the church door.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the Statue of Liberty, as you already mentioned. Nice crown, Alan. So he reads the riddle. The pair has to step over the line. They get $2,500 a piece if they get it right. So, they were doing all these riddles, what have you. But, oh, my God, Danielle. Dumb lollipop. So she has two times.
Why did she do what she did?
She has 2 times to get herself a shield. Okay, the first time she's like, being nice. I want to help Dolores. I feel bad for the housewives.
Yeah.
I want to help Dolores. And dum-dum. Rob is like, what are you doing, Danielle? You're telling everybody that you think you're safe.
Yeah,
Only a
exactly.
traitor would think that they were safe,
Right.
right?
And I could tell she was doubting herself in front of everybody, and that
No,
was coming
that was the
across.
second time, though. And
Yeah.
then she goes up there another time, and she puts Derek up there. Like, are you
Well, she
kidding me?
takes it's Derek, right? Yeah, she takes Derek's picture off for Dolores's, but then she puts Derek's back the second time.
Well, that's why
So
she took him and said, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna make that right. You owe me one,
I get,
Derek."
yeah.
You know, so she took Chriselle off, I think. But that raised a shit ton of red flags, as
Some
it
people were
should have.
saying,
And
yes.
I don't understand how it ended up going the way that it did,
Yeah.
because she was so guilty in that. Oh my God. But
It was,
people are
yeah.
convinced it's not her.
Yeah.
So
But
Dolores and Sierra get the shields.
right. I know Sierra, I understand. Like, she needs one because she's like, everyone's looking at her. People are looking at her now. But
So they ended up earning $15,000 for the prize pot.
Yep.
Which is great.
Very good.
I mean, by the end, they're going to have their full $250,
Sure.
hopefully.
I
But,
hope. Yeah.
in the car ride back to the castle, Danielle says to Wes, Ivar, and Dylan that she thinks Nikki and Sierra were left in the game to be buffers for the traitors. But she points the finger at Carolyn,
Wow.
her fellow traitor.
Yeah.
And of course, what's everybody's first reaction?
Yeah.
Dylan doesn't agree.
Yeah.
Carolyn's not smart enough. Carolyn can't do this. She's too kooky. She's too all over the map.
Yeah, she would give it away right away if she was a traitor. I think that's what they're thinking. Like, she's so jittery and all over shifty and everything. They'd be like, oh, we'd know right away if she was a traitor. But
So-
it's actually what helps her is the way she acts. It's great.
So Danielle tells Brittany, right?
Yes, about Carolyn.
Right.
And
that she thinks
Brittany's
she's a
kind of like
traitor.
feeding into what Danielle's saying, going,
Well-
oh, now that you
Well,
mention it."
only at the end when she said, didn't she win Survivor or something like that? I mean,
Oh.
she keeps, maybe she didn't say that there.
Yeah.
But it was basically like the seeds planted. She's like, I don't want to say too much.
But she said, I think Danielle said, I'm trying to get a gauge from Brittany, like to read it from her.
Right. And then
Yeah.
here's where Rob, but also where Boston Rob's reputation precedes him, because
Okay, right.
Michelle runs into Boston Rob because you're so good at this, Rob.
And I
I
trust
have to tell you my
you.
theory. I have to ask him. He's like, you gotta tell me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
He's so definitive.
Oh,
you know, like,
yeah.
you want him to be on your team. Like,
Yeah.
He's just so like, I know it all. So Bob the TDQ wanted, when you told that to Nikki in the car, which we just mentioned,
Yes.
she got the feeling, chills went down her spine. and
Yeah.
she thought that was traitor behavior coming from Nikki.
Yeah.
But Dingbat tells Rob, of all people. So now Rob just puts that in his little filing cabinet,
Mm-hmm.
and we're at the round table.
Ooh.
Rob has to steer the vote away from him. Everyone seems to be on Nikki and Sierra. But Ivar, our friend Ivar, a.k.a. Igor,
Yeah.
says also Rob's name.
Yeah.
And he said, how would you know that if it was a traitor, Bob was the drag queen was a traitor unless
You're a traitor.
you were a traitor. Rob explains that he's a faithful.
Yes.
He watched Bob and how he acted. When you feel threatened, you put it back on the other person. And I wrote a note to myself that Boston Rob looked innocent. I really believed it.
Yeah, I believed what he was saying. Yeah.
Like,
he
I just
he
wrote he's
said it well.
Phenomenal game player. Like,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He just is. Like, he
Yeah.
just is great at it.
He had the perfect explanation as to why he put the target on Bob.
Right.
So he did have the right explanation.
Oh, I would have just pinned that. If I was Rob, I would have just done the easy path, and I would have just said, I've been talking to Dylan, and Dylan and I believe Dylan's theory. I would have just blamed it on Dylan. And then this was funny. At the round table, all of a sudden, Sam Ashgari opens his mouth.
Yeah, he never talks
And
through
he
it, right?
said that he is on Rob. If he's not murdered tonight, he's coming after Rob.
Yeah.
I was like, oh boy,
Be careful.
Then Sierra pleaded her case.
Yep.
and Nikki go.
She knows she's on the chopping block.
So Sierra and Nikki kind of go after each other a little
They
bit.
do. But see, this is where Nikki points out, like, you don't really like to talk to me. You kind of keep away from me. That's making me suspect of you.
Right.
But again, like, I just think that Sierra's not doing herself a lot of favors
not
by
personable.
kind of being a bitch.
Right. She's
And
even
if you're if you're a bitch like that and you're really close to the vest like that, you're not going to make friends.
Right. You're playing a game.
So
yeah. Put a character on.
Put it on.
Put it on. Right.
Play it up. Be fake. Yeah.
Whatever. It's just you've got to go out there and make friends. But we know that's not her normal. She just wants to hang out in bed with Paige all day.
I know.
Paige isn't here, and it doesn't play without Paige. So they.
Yes.
But it's funny. I would say that not that Nikki's a bitch, but they're more alike than they care to admit.
Yeah,
Nikki and Sierra.
I think Nikki just has a sweeter energy.
Yes,
and Sierra has a bitchy energy.
Well played.
So
exactly. Well said. Well said is what I meant to say.
So it's like she just gives off that aura.
And now Chriselle decides to tell her theory to the entire round table about Nikki.
It had to be hard for Chriselle. I like Chriselle.
I like Chriselle too.
Very
sweet, very pretty.
Very sweet, yes.
And she tells the story in the car when Boston Rob said that Bob the drag queen had floated Nikki's name, and then she had the chills down her spine because she thinks he's a traitor, blah, 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 blah.
And she's very nervous. I'm so nervous saying this because obviously Nikki's like her best friend in that group.
And this is where Nikki, and just being Nikki, saying it once, like she barely stood up for herself. It just sounded like I get it. She was resigned to the fact that she was probably leaving.
Yeah,
but I wanted to see her fight for herself a little bit.
I would have liked to see that too. She didn't do it enough. Not picking on her. I feel bad. If she hadn't been put in that coffin, no one would have really been suspecting of her.
Would not have gone after the
that
Bambis.
That got her.
The Bambis would not have gone yet. And then of course, Bob H decides to say, wouldn't it be badass if you, Boston Rob, took a traitor out right away?
Yeah.
Like, wouldn't that be crazy? And he was like, I agree with you, but that's not what happened.
Yeah.
But Boston Rob says.
Yeah.
So Boston Rob's got the heat on him. But yet
he's got it.
Nikki is the one that's banished.
Yeah. It was almost like an overwhelming. I think who voted for Sierra? Nobody, I don't think.
Oh, a few people voted for Sierra.
A few people. I'm sorry.
But
and Nikki, of course, voted for Sierra.
He's voted against her.
And Derek
friends. I think she felt bad about that.
Well, yeah, they turned on her. And you kind of wonder, like, when the show wraps, like, are they going to be friends? Are they going to keep in touch? Or she's going to be like, the hell with you? I think she's a nice person. Like, she'll be like, I understand.
Said she was a faithful. They were like, oh no.
And Chriselle felt crushed.
Oh, I know. She's like, don't be mad at me. And then Gabby was like, oh no, I'm not mad at you. Like, they're really sweet.
Yeah, I know.
And then Wes and Derek
At the end of the day, it's a game.
It is.
It's not about like, these are my friends. It's a
game. She said, this is a game, and I'm really here to play the game. And
yes.
But Wes and Derek talk, and they said, look at Rob. He's always watching. Like, they know that it's Rob. They're like, this guy. And then Dylan says to Carolyn that Danielle wants her out.
Yeah.
So I love Dylan is so convinced that Carolyn's not a traitor. So convinced. He tells of Danielle's theory. And Carolyn's
but I was kind of glad that he did.
Me too. I want to see Carolyn.
I want her to win and
Danielle
get it
down.
up there and take her down.
Oh, I want to see Danielle go down, and I want kooky Carolyn to do it and nobody to expect anything.
Yes. And now Carolyn was saying, I thought it was Rob I didn't trust.
Right. She's
like,
all day I'm thinking about Rob. And here's Danielle coming out again. And it's all because Danielle doesn't, I guess, like her.
Yeah, I guess.
Or just thinks she's not a good enough traitor, or she's too dumb. And I cannot wait. And I don't know what happens in episode 6, but I cannot wait for who everybody thinks is dumb or incapable or kooky Carolyn to come and murder them all.
Yeah, I know.
So Carolyn, go get them.
Now, Carolyn was saying these traitors, they just want to murder each other.
I know.
We want to
it's so stupid. Like, this
crazy.
is the first traitors where they've really gone after each other this early. And And
I think it's because they're not the best traitors, except Carolyn and Rob.
Yeah, Danielle's horrible.
The other two,
dumb. And now they're up in the turret, and we go to next week. So,
but I love how Carolyn's looking at Danielle like,
oh, Carolyn, we hope you just
with her
kill
cookie face.
Kill her. Go for it. Get her.
Yep.
All right. Well, that is it for the Traitors. Read the Traitors. Recap episodes 4 and 5. And moving forward from this week, we'll be all caught up. And we'll be doing episode 6 next week. It'll be 1.
Okay, 1.
1 episode. Yeah. Until then.
We are totally caught up now.
Don't be a traitor. Be a faithful. All right. We're out from the living room.
Okay, everybody.
See you next week.
Thank you so much for tuning in.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.